EQU by ChoiceCenter Leadership University is where emotional intelligence meets extraordinary results. Founded in 1998 in Las Vegas, ChoiceCenter has empowered thousands of people around the world to unlock their full potential through experiential trainings and coaching. Here on EQU, we dive into the inspiring stories and transformative journeys from both famous faces and everyday heroes. Graduates who have harnessed emotional intelligence to have transformed their lives in ways that are nothing short of remarkable. From skyrocketing their careers to deepening relationships, balancing creative pursuits with focusing on health, finances, and family. Our guests share the real-world impact of EQ on living a life you author and love. Get ready to be inspired, challenged, and equipped with insights that can serve you to create radical results in your own life. If you're ready to dream, declare, and deliver, let EQU show you what's possible.
Welcome to EQU, the official podcast of ChoiceCenter Leadership University, where we explore how emotional intelligence creates life-changing experiences and results. With each episode, we bring you powerful stories from people who have transformed their lives and the lives of others through EQ.
Today, our guest is truly someone special, someone who spent decades guiding people to unlock abundance, break through limitations, and create the extraordinary. And also someone who has been with ChoiceCenter since the beginning, all 27 years. He started with LV7.
Wow, I can't wait. And before we dive in, listeners, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and follow so you never miss an episode. We also share much gratitude for those who take the time to leave us a review and a 5-star rating. It all helps us reach a broader audience and increase the impact of EQU. You can find us on all your favorite podcast platforms. A complete list is found on choicecenter.com. And now, on with the show, Rob.
Okay, our guest today is a world-renowned transformational trainer, an expert in emotional intelligence, mindset mastery, and leadership development. For over 30 years, Chris Lee has coached and trained thousands of people worldwide, empowering them with the tools to achieve extraordinary results in their relationships, careers, and personal growth. That includes his work at ChoiceCenter Leadership University, where he has been our friend and partner since 1998, delivering our breakthrough and abundance and prosperity trainings. Chris has a degree in psychology and communications from Northeastern University. He trains in 2 languages, both English and Spanish. He's the author of Transform Your Life, 10 Principles of Abundance and Prosperity. From coaching global leaders to appearing on top podcasts, Chris is known for his ability to shift perspectives and inspire lasting transformation. Chris Lee, welcome to EQU.
Hi, what a pleasure to be here. I'm so excited, and thank you for inviting me.
Oh my gosh, yes. Welcome to EQU. I love that we have you on the show today, Chris. You know, our listeners and graduates from all these years and around the globe just adore you. And, you know, there's also people listening who are considering coming to ChoiceCenter. So for those who may not know you, let's give them a little intro to who you are. So share with us where you grew up, where'd you go to school, how'd you become so darn proficient in Spanish?
Well, I'm from New York originally. I was born in Long Island, and when I was a year old, moved to San Juan, Puerto Rico with my family, and spent the first 18 years of my life in Puerto Rico. So I consider myself Puerto Rican, even though I was born in New York. And then went to college in Boston at Northeastern University. Go Huskies, very proud. And while I was in college, I found out about this emotional intelligence experience, and that gave me the opportunity to participate and find out what all this is about. And so that's where I started the beginning of my journey in transformation. And it was through that I, of course, discovered these life-changing tools and principles that had been part of my life every day. And not only has it transformed my life, but my family's life and the lives of so many people, as you all know, for the last 37 years. So here I am at 59 and still more excited, actually, than I've ever been about this.
Well, Chris, share with us, how were you introduced to these trainings?
Well, a friend of mine had done the trainings and I was very happy for her. Her name is Suzanne Stroh, and she was the heiress of Stroh's Brewery, which, if you know anything about beers and brewery, Stroh's used to be a massive beer brand. And Suzanne Stroh had done the workshops and started pursuing me about the process. And a lot of times when you don't know about something and you're fearful and it's completely out of your radar, I was very resistant to what she was sharing with me, even though I was very happy for her because I really believe she needed it. So I was judgment of her. And I was like, well, it must be something rich people do or people that are, in that world. I was a student that was living on campus. And then I moved to Puerto Rico. And it was during that time I was in Puerto Rico that she continued to what I felt was harass me about this. She would send her friends to call me. I'm like, are y'all ganging up on me? What's going on here? And it took her about a year and a half to convince me. And what convinced me wasn't even what she said, was I witnessed her transformation. I witnessed what she created, and I was blown away by it. She started to take responsibility for her life. She was in a solid relationship. She was confident. And the most beautiful thing is the way she navigated through life's changes, because life is always constantly throwing things at us. It was graceful. It was empowering. What was once the most reactive person to me now was the most calm and proactive person. And so I was like, okay, between her having her confidence back, creating her own business and not depending on her parents, which I was very impressed by, solid relationship, and handling challenges in an empowering way, I knew I didn't have any of those things. So I was like, when's that thing? I'll go. And it turns out that it happened to be during one of my co-ops in Puerto Rico. So it took me flying from sunny San Juan, Puerto Rico, February 1988, to Boston, Massachusetts, in the middle of this massive winter storm. And that was the beginning of my transformation.
So, Chris, as you went through your own discovery, breakthrough, and then, of course, the leadership process, what did you discover about yourself, and what is it that transformed for you?
Well, I discovered that I wasn't a tree because I thought that the way I was how I was going to be for the rest of my life. You know how a tree can't move itself? A tree can't get up and move and relocate, and a tree can't reinvent itself. A tree is a tree. So in the workshop, I discovered that I could be who I wanted to be. And I could reinvent myself. And the low self-worth, low self-esteem, bullied child who felt that he wasn't good enough, I was able to reinvent into someone with confidence and self-love and someone who could trust people. And so I discovered that by the very simple fact that in the workshop, you're able to uncover and redesign your limiting beliefs. And I had a million, and we all do. We all have limiting beliefs about ourselves, about our bodies, about our abilities, about life, about money, you name it. And I had all of them. It was kind of like when some people read the symptoms of every disease and people go, I have that. Well, every time people would share in the training about their limiting belief, I'm like, got it, got it, got it. I was like, am I the only one who has all these things? And it turns out that everybody had them. And it was really refreshing to realize that we live in our heads, right? Like everything happens through your head. So in my head, I thought, oh my God, if people only knew, what I really was. So I had a belief that I was the worst. I had a belief that I wasn't good enough. And the other thing that I was able to uncover in the training is we all come to this world as this beautiful masterpiece, a diamond. And every child comes to the world with all of the information and the qualities and the superpowers that you need to navigate through life, and not just navigate, but thrive through life. And when you think of the joy and the passion and the self-worth of a child, that's all of us. I thought for some reason that died in me. And what I learned through discovery and especially through breakthrough, it wasn't that it died. My confidence didn't die. My joy didn't die. What happened is it got covered up by limiting beliefs and fears. So through discovery, I was able to discover how I viewed the world and my beliefs about myself and how I related in it. But in breakthroughs was where I was able to literally dismantle piece by piece every limiting belief I had about myself and every limiting belief I had about others. Because the message that came through for me is that the power and the key to all success is relationships. And I had zero. Like I had one friend, Suzanne, and I had a couple of others, and they were shallow friends. Like I didn't let people in because I had so many self-judgments and self-limiting beliefs. And I had lots of judgments and limiting beliefs about others. And in Breakthrough specifically, I was able to replace self-judgment with self-love and judgment of others with unconditional love. And those two keys have brought me every dream I could ever imagine, because that allows me to be generous with me and generous with you. And so I go through life thinking, what can I contribute versus how do I defend myself, or how do I protect myself from the situation? So we've all heard the term fight, freeze, or flight. I was living that 24/7. And for the first time in my life, I felt comfortable in my own skin through Breakthrough. And leadership was, let's put this in your DNA. Let's practice this. Let's have this be a way of life. Because remember, I'd spent 20, I'll say 20, not 22, because the first 2 years I was like this vibrant, passionate soul that I am now. And that got covered up and made wrong. But I spent 20 years perfecting the art of fear, perfecting the art of judgment, perfecting the art of self-hate. So that was like a neural pathway in my brain that I'd traveled so much. Like any discipline you become good at and almost do in your sleep. Well, I was really good at being judgmental, and I could do that in my sleep. So I created these new tools of self-love and of unconditional love towards others. And leadership allowed me to create another pathway, another choice. And it's been amazing. I mean, it's been life-altering for me and for others.
How long after you graduated did you know that you wanted to be a trainer?
In Breakthrough, I saw my Breakthrough trainer and saw how effective she was at moving people in such a incredible way. I remember I'd studied psychology, and I saw that the therapist or psychiatrist or psychologist path, I thought it was an amazing path, a great path. But I was able to see that through the work, people are able to not only transform themselves, but be in action about their dreams and their results, which is the part that I was always lacking. Like there's a place for psychology and therapy. I think it's really important for one-on-one work and, deeper dives. But this process is a coaching environment, a leadership environment, which was exactly what I needed, so that it allowed me to really visualize myself as a trainer. I was like, I want to do that. That's what I want to do for the rest of my life. That's exactly what happened. And it was at 22 when I did the trainings. I would say within 3 months, I was like, I'm going to be a trainer.
Wow. Chris, there's so many people that think they can become a trainer from a couple of weeks in a course, right? We hear that all the time. Can you tell us, what is it really like? What's required to become certified as a master trainer in this work? There's a couple of books I read several years ago, both of them based on the 10,000 hour method. And so maybe you can put some of that together for us.
Well, it's not just becoming a trainer, becoming a master in anything. And what we have today on the market is so many people are participating in courses that in 6 weeks you become a life coach, or in 6 months you're a master trainer. And what was great about my process, it took years. It was years of, I went through discovery, breakthrough, leadership, and then I staffed a lot. I finally, after a year, got myself in front of the room, and I did what was called guest events, and I became the best at that. And then one of my mentors said, let's go. I'm going to train him. I'm going to coach him. And then I started following her around in the process. And then I started leading trainings on my own.
And when you delivered that first breakthrough, about how many years or hours had you been working up to do that solo breakthrough training?
I was 27. So it had been 5 years.
Yeah.
I would say though, before I became really a trainer that was like solid in my body, 6 years.
Chris, what do you remember about your first year at Choice Center with us?
I remember we were in a hotel, and the training was a lot of people. It was a different experience because I was used to training in places where locals went. For example, Puerto Rico, all of Puerto Rico would go. Bogota, Colombia would go. Boston, mostly Bostonians. everywhere I worked, it was local. But Vegas, I remember it was like 90% of the people flew in. And I saw Choice as literally the oasis in a desert, this oasis that was like this base where people from all over the world would fly into and transform their lives. And I remember the joy and the level of gratitude that you had, Robin, in even doing it. It was almost like, pinch me, I can't believe this is real. That was the energy I felt from you because you had worked so hard to build it and with, people that you love and trusted. And it was almost like your baby, right? You believed in it and you were so excited about it, and your enthusiasm. I've never seen someone in a center so enthusiastic about it, and also very protective, like very mama bear, kind of like, I want to make sure that everything is in excellence. And when I first started Choice Center, it was a different style of training back then. So it was very loud, and I was the king of loud. So I remember hotels wanting to kick us out because we were too loud. But then they found out what we did and they're like, can we send our people there? They would love us. But I remember the beginning being that experience. It was like exciting. And I still feel that way. I still feel that you are still in this. Pinch me. I can't believe it that we're still doing this. And Robin and I laugh about how we've been in a 27-year dyad together.
And it was great to be in one last weekend.
Oh my God, it was beautiful. What a beautiful experience. What a beautiful team of people. Just magic. And the graduates, the amount of graduates that showed up, I mean, it must have been 100 people there. A lot of people that came in.
For those listeners who might be new to EQ leadership training in the context of our very deep and transformational work, how would you describe the 3 levels of the training, which we call discovery, breakthrough, and leadership?
So I want to first describe the whole thing. So the whole process is a coming home to yourself process. You come home to you. And what do I mean by home? I mean by that space of feeling loved and confident and worthy and special and magical, like the original you, the child that felt supported and loved and nurtured, and like there's just nothing missing. It's like coming home again. That to me is the process. Now, discovery is the beginning of the journey, and it's a 4-day process where you start understanding the different distinctions of transformation. Distinctions like responsibility and commitment and vision and just authenticity. So there's different distinctions that are covered that are relevant to your life because you're able to see your relationship with it, because there's a massive distinction between victim and responsibility. And a lot of people don't realize that we're victims in ways that we don't know. And it was in discovery that I realized that every time I got mad at other people or judged myself, I was depleting my power. Power that I need to be the best version of myself, power that I need to accomplish my dreams, power that I need to make a difference in the world. People are drained and exhausted, not because of stress, but because of what they do with stress. So in the discovery process, I was able to uncover the power of choice, that I have a choice in how I am being in my life. I have a choice in how I participate. And so it's the beginning of uncovering and seeing what are the things that are in my way. But 3 days next to a lifetime doesn't give you the chance to really go deep enough. But you come out of there feeling transformed. Like you come out of discovery 4 days going, wait a minute, this has been life altering. But then there's more, because breakthrough is a process of reclaiming your freedom, a process where not only do you see the walls, but you are able to own them, heal them, and release them, which is liberating. And that liberation allows to bring back that authentic original self, because the authentic you is joyful. The authentic you is loving. And those of you listening, you could ask yourself, how often am I being my joyful self? And have I settled into another version or another avatar of myself? I would say that if you're not joyful and that's not your go-to or your default, there's stuff that's in the way. And in Breakthrough, I was able to address that. And there's a lot of healing work in Breakthrough. There's a lot of liberation work in Breakthrough. And you're reinventing you into the person you want to be. And then it's a process that's mostly experiential. Discovery is a little more didactic, so there's more lecture and less exercise. But breakthrough is mostly exercise. And so you go from one process to the other, and it's fast moving and it's very powerful. You also learn the power of feedback in breakthrough. And feedback is really important, especially for people that are leaders, people that are game changers, people that are influencers. I noticed that most of the influencers that come to Choice Center, people that lead big audiences or make a big impact, they don't have a lot of environments where people are honest with them because they usually have either fans or employees, or they don't have a lot of people that are objective. So they love Choice Center because it's like, oh my God, I've hired these people. That's how they look at it. I hired all these people to provide me with a viewpoint that I can't see, to provide me with feedback, which highlights my blind spots on the what's working side and the what's not working side. And so you come out of breakthrough with that information, and then you're able to shift easily from when you're in a negative moment or a fear-based moment, you're able to shift into your authentic self. And it provides a lifelong process and tools to be able to do that.
No, I was going to say that is such a powerful experience because we can put it right to work, all of us.
Let me share about leadership. Leadership is a 3-month process where you're able to have this be a way of living, where you're going to have a coach working with you to be that authentic version of yourself. And when you have a breakdown, to learn how to navigate from the breakdown and step into your power again. And it's a results-oriented process where you will literally manifest and create the results that maybe you've been putting off for years, or that maybe were not in your realm of consciousness because you didn't think you could do it. So level 3 leadership is a powerful experience where you have 3 months of coaching on everything you learned in discovery, everything you broke through in breakthrough, and you're coached on a personal strategic plan where you establish breakthrough goals for your mental health, physical health, relationships, business, and even hobbies you want to learn along the way, and things that maybe you've been putting off. And you're able to create in that process results that either A, you gave up on, or B, were not in your realm of consciousness because you had so many limiting beliefs blocking it. And so people graduate leadership blown away by what they accomplish in 3 months. Studies show that you get done in 3 months what the average person takes 7 years to do. And the reason being, it's not that leadership is so magical, and it is, but we as human beings are magical. And when we're in the right environment with the right coaching, we could do anything. And I exceeded my vision and exceeded my goals during my leadership process, because not only did I create the goals that I wanted, I created also my favorite, unexpected, magical results that were like, wow, where did that come from? But of course, the law of attraction is real. When you shift yourself and you shift what you put out into the world, what comes back is shifted. And I was coached on that through the process in leadership, and also coached on how to live this every single day of my life and create a platform for the rest of my life. I could go on forever about leadership because that really is my favorite part of the whole process, because discovery was amazing. It opened up doors. Breakthrough blew the doors wide open, but leadership allowed me to step into my new life and to curate the life that I've always dreamed of, not just based on concept and philosophy, but based on actions and results. So leadership is, for me, the most valuable part of this whole process, because it's through the leadership program and the 3 months of coaching that allows you to take what you learned in discovery and breakthrough and have it be sustainable in your daily life. And it's not only sustainable, but what you learned is duplicatable. You're able to duplicate what you created for yourself. And those are two very powerful things, because many times, and this is what I love about Choice Center, and I haven't seen much in other processes I've participated since, and I've spent a lot of money on different journeys and opportunities, is the follow-up. Most companies have seminars that are amazing, but then after the seminar, how do I integrate it into my life? And so leadership is the integration process. And one of the ways that you learn to integrate it is learning the art of enrolling. The art of enrolling is you becoming a person that has the power to inspire people into their vision or inspire people into your vision, whether it's a business or a relationship or anything that matters to you. You're able to inspire. The difference between enrolling and persuading or convincing or selling is that when you are enrolling, you're leading by the value for the other person. And when you're trying to convince someone of something, it's more about your own value and how you see it for yourself. And so when you use enrolling into creating a business or creating an investor or inspiring people to be in a relationship with you, you're tapping into the benefit that you are for other people, or that what you're offering is a benefit to them. And that has been life-changing. The most powerful tool from this whole process is the art of enrolling and becoming an enrolling leader. And that's been very powerful.
Thank you. Everybody today wants to be an influencer. And so I look at it as it's the art of enrolling and influencing people. Chris, who would you say the trainings are best designed for?
Wonderful question. This is something that I've been in for years. And I believe the trainings are designed for people that either are leaders already in their lives, already successful, already mastering what it is that they are committed to, whether it's business or sports or entertainment, whatever domain they're in. These are masters at that. And they find an environment at Choice Center where they're able to level themselves up in a very objective place where they're able to see what they can't see and know what they don't know, or what they don't know that they don't know, which opens up a whole world for them in their careers and their personal lives. So leaders love our workshops. I've never seen someone who's a leader who truly authentically embodies leadership at the end go, oh, that was a waste of time. They're saying, I've done everything under the sun. This by far exceeds everything I've done before. And I heard that just last weekend. So someone who's already a leader, that is someone that will absolutely benefit from the workshop. Also, it's beneficial for someone who may have been a leader in the past or was confident and courageous and had that within them, and something along the way dimmed their light or dimmed their enthusiasm. So they had it within them, that leadership commitment, and they had done it in the past. But something happened where that light got dimmed, and they're like, I want to get me back. I want to get my power back. I want to get my leadership back. And so they go in with a clear intention of doing that. The training is for people whose lives are already working, people who have the ability to make a choice, people who have the space to dedicate it to themselves, and people that are absolutely committed to being the best version of themselves, that aren't going to argue for their limitations, but are going to be excited to be held to the highest version of themselves. And people who also want to have the biggest results possible in their life, that want to amplify or level up their results. And finally, the third thing I would say is people who want to make a difference, that are clear that it's all of us or none of us, and people that want to use their platforms or their talents or whatever it is that they're committed to impacting and enrolling and influencing others. Because that, to me, is the most beautiful thing when I see my students win Emmy Awards or start the business of their dreams or become the #1 poker player in the world, or finally, after years of being alone, manifesting their soulmates and falling in love. And I can't tell you how many weddings I've been invited to. I'm actually going to one in a couple of days, and I'm excited because it's just great to see our students accomplish dreams, and we see that at Choice Center all the time.
You've been doing this for 7 years, like you said. What are some of the common themes that you hear in the room as reasons why people enroll? What are those top things that maybe the majority of people come in seeking or looking for?
I believe that what has people enroll at the end of the day is not an external reason. It's not to make more money or to have more time or to be more successful. I think it comes down to people want to feel peace, want to feel joy, want to feel self-confident, want to feel empowered. Because what happens is life has become so fast and there's so much technology, and the more technology, the more impersonal it becomes. and then people don't talk anymore. And I read something that human beings need at least 5 hugs a day, or else their body goes into a state of sadness, and that sadness can lead it to depression. Now, I don't know how valid that study is, but I do know we all need contact. And I do know that there's this beautiful thing that occurs when people come into a room of leaders, and the synergy that occurs in that process. People walk in with their mask on and their titles, and by the end of the workshop, no one cares who they voted for, no one cares what politics are, no one cares all the things that are dividing us nowadays. It's all one. Everybody comes together as one, and people are craving that. And so I believe that people go in for a deep reason like self-worth, self-confidence, because you might think that the person making several $1,000,000 a year is confident and worthy, and they may be the loneliest person in the world. And some of the people that I coach that are at that levels, I coach them on basic things like self-worth, self-confidence, and learning how to put boundaries down and all kinds of things. But I think the answer is it's always internal. And if we can connect to what's going on in people's hearts, then that's going to inspire people to come to our workshops.
Well, you've literally trained hundreds of thousands of people around the world in English and Spanish. So no matter the language or the culture where they've been raised, what are the most common limiting beliefs or barriers to success and personal freedom that you find people are challenged by in their life?
Great question. When you start peeling the layers of the onion, it comes down to 2 things. We all want to love, to be able to love freely and feel confident in giving love. And we all want to be loved. And I noticed that people have a hard time putting themselves first. People are always putting their children first, their boss, their careers, their business, the dog, their friends first. And that's out of their need to be loved. They're not putting themselves first. And I also think that people have a hard time receiving. And I see that across the board. When you tell someone something nice, they get even more resistant than when you tell something that's constructive about what's not working. They're used to that. And then the other major thing, now that I'm thinking about it, that way these questions were not submitted to me before, is trust. Trust is such a massive global issue. People don't either trust themselves or don't trust other people. And when people get past that in the training room, it is mind-blowing. And one of the things that I coach people on is, in order to be able to trust, it takes transforming the narrative in your mind that's fear-based into a narrative that's faith-based. And when you transform fear into faith, then you're able to create a different environment around you. Because the fear-based one is this negative Steven Spielberg screenplay of doom in your head that you create before doing anything. And that keeps you in your comfort zone, of course, and there's no growth and there's no connection. And when you shift it into faith, it's that confidence, the optimism that even though it looks like it's not going to work out, it's going to work out. And I believe that wherever you put your energy is what you see, what you attract. Energy flows where intention goes. And so those are some of the issues I noticed that people come with and break through beautifully.
I love it. Whatever we're focused on is what's expanding. And that's what I'm hearing you say in a couple of different examples.
Well, that's the nature of thought. The nature of thought is whatever you think about expands. So if I'm thinking I'm doomed and this is horrible, not only does it expand, it becomes part of what I see through. And so those are my filters.
Many people are resistant to looking at themselves or to coming to a training like this. And we all find ourselves in various levels of resistance to people, our work, change, of course. When you encounter someone who's in resistance, how do you work with them to have them see a new possibility or another outcome?
Well, the way I work with anybody about anything, what's the belief that's having you be resistant? When you're resistant to something, there's a belief that's driving you. Either you believe you're not safe, or you believe you're being attacked, or you believe you're not being loved, or you believe something that's having you resist. And then I have them see where else that shows up in their life. And usually how we do one thing, we do everything. They're like, oh my God, I do that in my career, and I do that with my boss, and I do that here, I do that there. So I'm able to uncover that and then invite them to another perception, another possibility. Because another thing that we do and that I do with students is I work on perception and how everything's an interpretation. And based on the interpretation you choose, like what you said, Robin, what you think about expands. Well, what you interpret expands, and that becomes a reality. So if I interpret that I'm not safe here, I'm going to be resistant. If I'm able to shift that interpretation to, wait a minute, I'm completely supported, then I could drop my guard. And that's how I would coach somebody who's resistant.
You and Robin are, master trainers. We're all coaches, but we're also all human, right? We have our own breakdowns just like everybody else. And when you're in those moments of resistance or challenge or breakdown, how do you shift yourself?
There's several things I do. I allow myself to feel what I'm feeling. And I think it's important to honor your feelings. There's something called false positivity, which is to just bypass it and go, everything's great. And that's not what we do here. Acknowledge I'm sad, I'm upset. And then I ask myself, what's the perception of having me feel this way? What's the interpretation I'm having? Well, what you interpret expands, and that becomes a reality. So if I interpret that I'm not safe here, I'm going to be resistant. So if I call Robin and she doesn't call me back, I could be upset, but I'm not upset that she didn't call me back, or vice versa. Right? It has happened where she calls me and I don't call her back. So I'm human. So I have an automatic upset that comes up, but then I stop and I go, wait a minute, why am I sad? I'm feeling unloved. That's why I'm sad. I'm feeling not protected. I'm feeling that I'm not being respected. Okay. So I acknowledge that. And then I go, so what's my interpretation? My interpretation is that she's not calling me back because she don't love me. Then I check it with, is that a fact? No, it's not a fact. It's just my interpretation. Okay. What's another interpretation? Robin loves me and she's busy, or she didn't see the call, or that's something she's working on, returning phone calls, or it's something that I'm working on, or whatever, but it's not personal. And then I automatically feel better. And so that's one thing I do. Another thing I do is I call Robin. Robin, I'm upset about this. Can you support me and work me through this? Because I'm having a breakdown and I can't see my way out of a paper bag right now. And so that's the power of having a coach and a support system. And she's like, well, hold on a minute, because that's how she talks. Hold on a minute. What are you feeling? What's going on, Christopher, which is what she calls me when she wants to be endearing. And what's going on? I'm like, well, this is happening. Okay, great. How do you feel about it? Okay, is there another way you could see it? It's the same thing, but sometimes it takes hearing it from someone else. Another thing I do is I journal. I journal a lot. And so I might have a breakdown. I have no one to talk to, but I have a notebook and a pen. So I journal about the same thing. This is happening. Here's the event. Here's how I'm feeling. Here's my interpretation. And here's another interpretation. And that's like a sequence: event, feeling, interpretation. And then I end it with my commitment is, and I make a new commitment. And that gets me off it. The thing I don't want to do is to take it out on anybody that I love and react. I've done that before as well because I'm human, but then it's like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I own it. I'm sorry. I apologize. That's not my intention. And could we work through this? So that's my strategy.
You just trained a breakthrough at Choice Center last weekend, Chris. One of the things you share with students in the breakthrough training is the 7 steps for handling a breakdown. Can you share those with our listeners?
Absolutely. These steps are magical. These steps are amazing. And it's similar to what I was sharing with you. There's a breakdown. First of all, let's describe what a breakdown is. A breakdown is when things that you expect don't happen, and that happens a lot. A breakdown is when you promise something you don't deliver. A breakdown is when life throws a curveball. So those things happen all the time. And usually what we do is we react to it. And so the first step that I coach in terms of handling a breakdown is to acknowledge it in a positive way. Acknowledging is, got into a car accident. Yes. Even though I'm angry, I give it a yes. Why yes? Because it forces me to choose an empowering viewpoint of the situation versus what I want to automatically do, which is to react and be upset. So first step is to acknowledge the breakdown in a positive way. I promised to lose 10 pounds. I gained 20. Yes. It just takes me out of the drama. And so I give it a yes because I say that every breakdown is a blessing. So that's the first step. The second step is to take ownership for the breakdown. Take full ownership. That means responsibility. So when I take ownership and responsibility, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm asking myself, how did I co-create this? If I did, and what was missing, and what could I provided? Or if I have nothing to do with this, how could I perceive this in an empowering way? And so those two things are important because, for example, if someone breaks up with me and I didn't do anything, it wasn't me, they just said they don't want to be with me anymore, I'm going to ask myself, how did I co-create this? Is there something I could have done different in that relationship? Or should I pay attention to the warning signs, etc.? And then I ask myself, how could I interpret this in a way that doesn't bring me down? Okay, well, they moved on and there's other people and I still matter. I'm beautiful. It's their loss. There's so many different ways I can interpret this in a way that is empowering versus I'm no good, which is what we tend to do. So that's the second step. The third step is process your emotions. Process your emotions is release, whether it's journal, do the steps I did earlier. What's the event? My relationship ended. How do I feel? Devastated and sad. I acknowledge my feeling. What's the interpretation that leads me to feeling that way, that I'm not good enough, they don't love me? What's a new interpretation? And a new interpretation is that I do matter. So those are things I do when I process emotion and or cry, journal, call a friend. These are all ways of processing emotions. The fourth step is to forgive, because if you don't forgive yourself, if you need to, or others, you carry that negative energy with you into the future. And we don't want your ex on the back. As a matter of fact, don't call him your ex, call him the ex. You don't want to claim it. It's the ex, the problem, the bankruptcy, not my bankruptcy. So forgiveness is the fourth step. When I forgive myself, I'm free. When I forgive others, I'm free. And if you want deep dive work on forgiveness, wait till breakthrough. Most beautiful forgiveness process I have ever experienced.
Yes.
Truly, it's liberating. So that's the fourth step. Fifth step, make a new commitment. Making a new commitment is declaring what is your commitment by when. What by when, who by when, what specific thing by when. So if it's sales, I declare that within the next month, I'm going to sell $8,000. If it's a relationship that I'm in and I want to create a better relationship, within the next month, I will have these dates or these beautiful, magical evenings. Whatever it is, you make a new commitment and put a timeline and actually put a why to it. And why does this matter? And I think the why is important. It's the fuel of any goal. So what, by when, why? That's the fifth step. The sixth step is take massive action and make sure you have a tribe of people around you. Why is this sixth step so important? And why is it important to have a tribe? Because sometimes I don't have the energy for the action, but I have a tribe cheering me on that wakes up my energy. Or I may feel like I don't want to do this anymore because it's too hard, but I have a tribe. A tribe means either a coach, a mentor, a buddy, a friend, someone who is supporting you in taking that action. And I got lots of people that are on this Zoom that support me with my action. And the seventh step is when I accomplish it, I celebrate my results by doing something kind for myself. By going to a massage, going to a spa day, getting a new look, going to the beach, going in nature, do something to acknowledge yourself for your success. And I would even add, write down the takeaways, like the lessons that you learned through this accomplishment. And if you don't accomplish it, guess what? Yes, go back to step number one and start over again. Give it a yes, take responsibility and ownership, ask yourself what was missing. How did I co-create this? Or how can I interpret this in an empowering way? Third step, process my emotion. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Forgiveness, forgive, forgive, forgive. Fifth step, make a new commitment. Sixth step, massive action. Seventh step, celebrate the results. And sometimes we need to do that over and over until we land it because it takes persistence.
Beautiful. You also deliver one of our most popular trainings called Abundance and Prosperity. Can you share with us what that training is all about?
Abundance is where you access and tap into your already existing abundance. That's your birthright. That is a part of how you came into the world as a massive manifestation of abundance. The fact that you made it to your birth statistically is almost impossible when you think about all the process that it takes to be born. You are a miracle itself. And so abundance is about tapping into that and realizing we are already abundant. And abundance is an attitude of gratitude. And when I live in gratitude, the universe gives me more to be grateful for. And so we really tap into that. And 16 principles that allow you to have abundance be a way of living so that you're able to manifest the prosperity that is the outcome of that. And it's a 2-day fun, exciting workshop with me. And we navigate through 16 principles in a very alive and joyful way. It's incredible. And you walk out of there with a 10-year game plan, literally. Like you walk out of there with absolute clarity of the next 10 years of your life and where you're going to be. It's also the workshop that you walk away with more assets than you came in with, literally. When you think about assets, you think about money, you think about possessions, you think about things that we have, but you walk away with way more than you walked in with. And it's truly magical what happens there. Nothing happens by chance ever in that workshop. And you've all been in it and you know what I'm talking about. It all is incredible how it happens. And that's where you learn how to really channel in the law of attraction, which a lot of people have tried to simplify it. Think of a diamond. There it is. That's not the law of attraction. Think of a car. There it is. No, the law of attraction is more like the movie Field of Dreams. Build the environment and it will come. So build the environment of abundance within yourself and everything that you dream of will come your way without you trying to scheme it or manipulate it or force it. Because the minute you have to have something, you energize the opposite. Could you imagine? I have to date you. You'll run. You're like, oh my God, this person's needy. I can't be with that person. Or I need the job, please. So when you have to have something, you energize the opposite. Abundance is fabulous.
It's so popular every year. We do it, at least at the end of the year, we do it at the holidays, and everybody goes out just ready to go give bigger than they've ever given because they've just received all the, how do I live like this? And it's a great plan and a roadmap.
Chris, we have a set of EQ quickfire questions we like to ask our guests each week as we come into the final moments of the show. Are you ready to play our quickfire?
Bring it on.
Chris, what is your contract?
I'm a powerful, passionate, free man.
I love it. Now, earlier in the show, you said the key to all success is relationships. What would you say is the key to developing and sustaining really healthy and supportive relationships?
Self-worth, self-love, and also unconditional love towards others. If I have judgments about myself, I cannot be in a relationship with you because I'm holding me back. And I have judgments of you, that's not going to allow me to be in a relationship. So really keeping that in check.
You lost your mom in the last couple of years, Chris, and you two were very, very close. You'd always call her on our training breaks, and we'd laugh at what she'd say she's up to, and mostly playing cards with her girlfriends. And I know that you miss her deeply. For those dealing with grief, what coaching would you offer anybody out there to stay positive in those moments of sadness?
Well, interesting you're asking me that because it was my mom's birthday on Sunday at Breakthrough, February 2nd. Also, Kelly Benstead's birthday. Happy birthday, Kelly. They share the same birthday. She would have been 95. And she's very present in my life. And, you know, a couple things. One is when you're dealing with grief, don't rush it. It's not something that you get over. I'm never going to be over my mom's passing, and I'm okay with that. So when I want to cry, I cry. When I feel sad, I'm sad. When I miss her, I miss her. And that's part of my daily thing. She's a part of me. The second thing is people don't leave us, especially people that are that close. They're a part of us. So I have my mom with me all the time, and I close my eyes, I see her, and I talk to her. And she's a part of my life. I'm not embarrassed about that. And the other thing is live a life that the person who passed would be proud. Do the things that would make them proud. I know my mom was really proud of what I became and who I am today and the difference I make for people. And she always told me that. She didn't understand a lot of it, but she always, but she was always very proud of me. And the last thing I would say is with people in your life, don't take them for granted. You don't know how much time they have. So tell them you love them today, make time for them today, call them today, show them how much you love them today because you don't know how much time they have. And that's the other thing that helps me heal is by supporting people and living their best life. And also you don't know how much time you have. So have it be spectacular.
Chris, what is your EQ superpower?
Enrolling.
Yes.
Everywhere I go, Starbucks, Coffee Bean, restaurants, everywhere I go, I get the VIP treatment. And that's because I treat people like they're VIP. So I'm always enrolling people with beautiful energy, with love and joy. And it's because I'm grateful that I'm able to be alive. I'm grateful to be here. And I'm grateful for people. I love people. And I'm actually very interested in people. to be enrolling is to not try to be interesting, but be interested. And I'm always fascinated by people. And the other superpower, if I could have a second one, I'm able to see people and connect to people and see where they are. And I'm able to support people where they are and empower them to get to where they want to be.
Chris, we wrap up each episode inspired by the wisdom of our guests, and we offer our graduates and listeners an EQ stretch challenge to complete before the next episode.
Well, how awesome.
Yes, and we would love for you to spontaneously design a stretch for us, Chris, right here on the spot. What's a breakthrough level stretch you'd like to challenge our graduate base and their guests to take on now?
I would love people to feed 100 homeless people without spending
Woo.
a penny. Can't be any of your own money. And so feed 100 people.
I love it. All right, we'll accept that. We'll take that on. Everybody get out there without spending any of your own money. Go feed 100 homeless people and then come tell us how you did it and what your experience was. Chris wants to hear. We want to hear. So be sure to tell us in the comments and use hashtag EQU challenge to let us know what you created out there.
And by the way, I do that all the time where I live. So it gets cold in Florida, 65 degrees. That's cold. And so I get blankets and I go to Costco and I get food, and my assistant, we literally go out like on a mission to feed people. And it's so much fun.
Do you remember when we were down in Miami, all of us, and we had that dinner one night and we had leftovers and we walked through the section with all the stores and the windows? It was late at night. And we were giving the leftover food to the people that were literally sleeping in those doorways. And people thought we were crazy.
All dressed up too. It was amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it was a blast. Is there anything we haven't covered today that you'd love to share with our listeners?
Yes. There's one thing I want to add. Many times as we are enrolling people in trainings, we're enrolling people in the outcomes that they can create, which is a beautiful thing. But we don't ever think about the outcomes they won't be creating. Because if I think about my life and where it would be had I not done this, there's a lot of outcomes that would have happened in my life that are not favorable. Because when we hang on to our limiting beliefs and we don't allow ourselves to be coached, then we have a very fixed way of living. And that way of living usually honors your ego, which is needing to be right, needing to look good, needing to be in control, and avoiding domination and avoiding your pain and feelings. So that was me. I always wanted to be right. I always wanted to look good. I always wanted to be in control. And so because my angel stood for me for a year and a half to be in this work, I've been able to live a life beyond being right. And it has opened up the world for me. I live in a world beyond being in control, and that's allowed me to trust others. I live beyond looking good, which allows me to be authentic. And so when we inspire people, it's important for them to understand also not only what are you going to be acquiring, but what you'll be dropping off and leaving. And that's the one thing I wanted to say.
Thank you so much. It's been so great to see you today and hear all your wisdom flowing through. We love you.
Yes, thank you, Chris. So you've been with us for 27 years. I've experienced you for 18 since I'm a graduate of 2007. And, it's always inspiring to get on these calls together and talk through what we do and to just continue to get to know each other and find even new magical things to explore after all these years. So thank you so much. And we'll see you soon back in the breakthrough or for abundance and prosperity.
Well, thanks to both of you. You are two of my favorite people in the universe. And thank you for always loving me and supporting me and holding me high. You are my support system, and we've navigated through all kinds of things beautifully together, and just such a testament of the work that we do. Corinne, you're one of the most integrous people I've ever met. You are integrity. You are heart. You are love. You're an incredible daughter, friend, sister, leader, coach, and I have nothing but respect and admiration and love for you. And Robin, you're my twin. And, I feel like we've been in this work together and that God put us together. Like there's something to this relationship that's beyond just friends and work, your family. And I'm just so inspired by how you stand in the middle of whatever day after day. And you are a living example of what it is to live your vision. And that's inspiring. So I love you both. And thank having me on the podcast.
Thank you, Chris.
We love
We'll see you
you.
soon.
Bye. Bye to everyone watching.
New episodes of EQU release every Tuesday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Podbean, and ChoiceCenter.com. See you next week.